This is SOL 6.2 continue. This is, we're still dealing with fractions, decimals, and percents. You have to describe fractions, decimals, and percents as ratio. Also identify a given fraction, decimal, or percent from a representation, and also demonstrate equivalent relationships. Compare and order fractions, decimals, and percents as well. So look at the first example. Always read your hints and notes and the steps for ordering rational numbers. Make sure that you always change your fractions and your percentages to decimals. For example, 0.5 is already a decimal. 10% would be a 0.10, and 3/5 would be a 0.6. When you have to put them in order, you need to make sure, are they asking for least to greatest or greatest to least? So make sure that you're careful and you look for what they're ordering. Ascending is least to greatest. Descending, think of a plane that's up in the air and they are descending. They are going from greatest to least. So you do have to know these two words. Obviously, this one is equal to, less than, greater than, and not equal to. Next one, to compare decimals, make sure you line up the decimal points and then compare your values left to right. To compare fractions, make sure you read all of these. And here's your example. So 1/4, you could make this as an equivalent denominators. So you could change 1/4 to something over 12. What would that be? 3/12, right? You could change the 2/3 to something over 12 by multiplying by 4, and you would get 8/12. If they have the same denominator and you're able to do that, then it's much easier to compare. So obviously 3/12 is less than 8/12, or 1/4 is less than 2/3. If they have different denominators and you can make them have the same denominator, change that, then it's easier to compare, or change your fractions to decimals and then compare. All right, number 9, this is where we start practicing. So which statement is true? Well, the answer is C, because 3/4 is a 0.75. And what is 7/12? 7/12. 0. What? 58. Okay, so is 75 cents greater than 58 cents? Yes, so you can change them, or you could even change the 4 to a 12 to make them have the same denominator. All right, number 10, which of these numbers is between 1/3 and 87 over 100? So 1/3 is a 0.33 and 87 over 100 is a 0.87. So looking at those fractions below, you can either change the fractions to decimals, which is what I would recommend. And if you do that, 3/5 goes between those two numbers. All right, list the numbers in order from least to greatest. First, 2/3. You should have a 0.66 repeating. A 63 hundredths of a percent, 0.0063. Remember, it's a percent. So to change it to a decimal, you got to move it 2 to the left. And then a 0.6. So when you put them in order from least to greatest, obviously, this one is first. So 0.63%. Then you have a 0.66 and then a 0.60, which is kind of like 60 cents. So then it would have to be 0.6 and then 2/3. Number 12, which decimals are in ascending order, which is right here, least to greatest? Which ones are least to greatest? You should have circled B. Number 13, which of the following is in descending order, which is greatest to least? 3/4 is obviously 75%. That's bigger than any of these other decimals that are in the front, so you should have circled A. And the last one, number 14, put the numbers in order from least to greatest. Underneath each one, I should see a decimal underneath each one. Okay, so that way you can write them in order from least to greatest. So the least would be a 0.3, which would be 3/10. Then a 0.305. 45% would be next. And then 4/5. That's 6.2 continued.